Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they work in your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Hard sports all plays.
What's going on? What's going on here? Well, it's your boy Jay. I wanted to get on today. Fresh takes, Arizona style, break down what's going on in the off season with the Suns. You know, what's going on in the community with the MMA community out here in Arizona. We went to a couple of things. We just got back from the Rough 47 event. I think it was last weekend, the weekend before. So we're going to talk about that as well. And of course, we're going to get into our Suns, see what we got going on in the offseason, what to expect from them as well. So we'll start off with a little Rough. You know, Rough 47 kicked off, went down. They had the Road to One heavyweight championship tournament conclusion. So it was a very good event. We had Terrence T-Bone versus Wildman as the main event that night. You know, it was a very exciting fight. Two heavy hitters, you know, two warriors in there, and they really went at it. What's good, Andre? But they really went at it. Full fight. You know, one of the major takes I seen, you know, Wildman lost his mouthpiece about 4 or 5 times during that fight. You could see the frustration on his face. I don't know if it was the way, you know, he was clenching his mouthpiece when he was, you know, seeing those punches coming, or if the mouthpiece was just big. It costed him 2 points in the fight, which ultimately went to a decision. I mean, it definitely, to me, played a big portion, a big part of it. T-Bone did control the fight. He did land more power punches throughout the fight. But I think a lot of, you know, what I was seeing there, you know, from watching Wildman in the past was just frustration. Couldn't keep his mouthpiece in. He lost 2 points in back-to-back rounds. I mean, I think one round he lost his mouthpiece 3 straight times. So, you know, that was one big thing there. But ultimately, Terrence ended up, you know, T-Bone ended up winning. He's out of Massachusetts, got to sit down, talk to him and his trainer for a while. They came out here with the understanding they weren't leaving until they had with the belt. So they got out here, he said, back in August, and he hasn't left. So I know they're happy to be home. T-Bone said he was taking his family to Disneyland, so it's definitely going to be something that, you know, they are enjoying. You know, the co-main event of the night was Marcus McGee and Rodney Mandala. And if you guys haven't seen Marcus McGee fight, it's something you guys need to do. Go to roughnation.com and pull up the fight, or find him on YouTube, pull up the fight. This guy is a ball of energy. Marcus McGee came out at 135 fighting Rodney Mandala, and you know, he made a name for himself if he hadn't already. The fight was only 58 seconds, knockout in the first round, and you know, afterwards, the crowd who said it for him without Marcus even having to, you know, he definitely deserves a title fight in the Rough promotions, in the Rough circuit. And I see Marcus really making a push for one of these major promotions here soon as well. Like, the dude is amazing, great martial artist, really sticks to his craft, trains really hard. And, you know, he just did his thing. There's nothing more to say about that. He came out there, handled business, and was gone quick. A couple other fights to make note of: Marcus Coates, Rafael Montini. Marcus Coates, another just menace out there in the cage. He actually won this 3 minutes and 37 seconds into the first round by a rear naked choke submission. And, at one point, he looked so comfortable in the ring and in the octagon, first of all. But at one point, you could see him kind of like smiling. He had got into a little grapple, ended up taking his back, Montini's back, and you could just see the smile on his face. And we got to ask him, what that smile was about. He even posted on his Facebook earlier this week. He knew at that moment that he had overcame and he was going to finish that fight. And Marcus was, got to talk to Mark at the weigh-ins as well. He was just so relaxed, comfortable coming into this fight, ready to go. Sean O'Malley was in attendance, and Mark even said after the fight, he wants to go back at Sean. So it was ultimately a really, really, really good fight. One of the other ones I want to make note of, Baker's MMA. They were added again at Rough 47. They had Enrique fighting out of Baker's MMA, and another one, just a ball of energy. I've had Austin Worms on here, and that guy as well, fighting out of Baker's. They go in there and they handle business. I mean, Enrique was relentless, never let the guy breathe. Caleb, he's a good fighter as well, but Caleb's just gassed the whole fight, and the fight was 1 minute and 39 seconds in the first round. So a TKO via strikes, and with that being said, like I said, looking at that fight, even though it was 1 minute and 39 seconds, you could see the wear and tear that Enrique and his energy was putting on Caleb. And just that under 2 minutes, he was gassed. So, if you haven't been to a Rough event yet, I suggest coming out July 30th is their next event, Celebrity Theater. They put on great shows. The fighters, they come out, to handle business. So if you haven't seen one yet, definitely get in. Now, let's move over to the Suns. Because that's the talk right now. What happened? Chris Paul, as we all know, he's known. It's a stigma of his. How many times have we seen him in the past, him lose 2-0 leads? His teams lose 2-0 leads in playoff series. But this one was just a little different. He almost shut down. Last year in the finals, we saw the shoulder injury. He could hardly shoot the ball. He was very hesitant, didn't dribble like himself. And this year, it was a little bit of the same. Honestly, I mean, the speed wasn't there. His acceleration wasn't there. He didn't have the turbo on his car anymore. He got back to stock. It was stock Chris Paul, not CP3. And, looking at the body of work that Chris Paul has put in these last 2 seasons, there had to be something else involved. There had to be something else going on. It's not like, and I don't want to pick out any particular name, but it's not like with other guys where they say, oh man, they were just out coached and they got him. We've seen in the past teams come after Chris and, throw different looks at him and do different things. And it's still, he's able to overcome. He's able to put that point guard, status or claim in that series, in that game, in that moment. And it seemed like time after time after time after time after time again during that series, no matter what the moment was, what the time was, what the situation was, he wasn't up for it. And to me, it was just really weird to see. It's not your normal Chris Paul behavior, as you would say. And, that's the problem with the situation, and looking at the team, removing the issue that we had with Chris Paul, just looking at this team, we got Devin for the next 2 years under contract. Devin just got first team All NBA. That made him eligible to go for the Supermax. So now we have the talks. Do we do an extension with Devin Booker? Do we give him the Supermax? Has he earned it? Do we pay homage to him for sticking it out through those years, those bad years? We knew how, us Sun fans, we know how bad those years were. Do we reward him for sticking it out and give him that bag right now? And, on the surface, the answer is right away, yes. I think Devin deserves it. I think Devin's put his hard blood, sweat, and tears into this organization. He stuck it out. He's done what he's had to do as the leader of this team to make sure we go in the right direction and we get to where we need to be. He has the mindset of the winner. He knows what he needs to contribute to the team in order for the team to be a winner. So, looking at that, we got Devin under the next 2 years. He's already a $33 million hit this first year coming up. Next year, he'll be a $36 million hit, and that's before the Supermax. Then we got Chris Paul. And when we go into the Chris Paul area, then we got to start talking about, the contract extension that he got, I think it was last year, the 4-year extension on that. So what that's going to do for us here, we got 28, 30, and 30 over the next 3 years. I think Chris Paul just turned 37, so he'll be making $40 million or $30 million a year when he turns 40. We just sold up Mikal Bridges. I'm glad we did that when we did it because I think he's going to be Supermax eligible here soon. He just had a fantastic year. I honestly think that he took a step, a big giant step forward in his game compared to what we were looking for from him. More of a 3-and-D guy. I think he added a lot more into his offensive repertoire this year. We seen a lot from McCall. And the other thing about McCall that I really liked this year was, we were able to sick him on the best team score, the best team's offensive player night in and night out. And in the past, we've had some good defenders, but they weren't, what's the word I'm looking for? They weren't able to transition between all these different positions that we have to deal with. And McCall handled that well, whether it was a 1, a 2, a 4. McCall was he owned up to the call. So, when the first 3, Devin, Chris, McCall, we look good. I do hope, and I've went on record to say this before. I think that the Chris Paul extension, it was right when the television new contract was getting finalized. I think a lot of his extension was done with the mindset that we're going to revisit this contract and kind of take a pay cut, as you will, later on down the road. I don't think we were set and we were okay with him making $30 million a year at age 40, unless we got a couple championships out of it. So, that leaves us to finish out the starting lineup. That leaves us with Jay Crowder and Deandre Ayton. Before we get to the Deandre Ayton point, let's start with Jay. Jay Crowder is one of my favorite players in the NBA, has been since he's gotten in the league. I just love his tenacity. I love the way he plays with aggression, the passion, the physicality that he brings to the court, to a team. Jay Crowder is a good guy to have on your team. I don't care what team you are, what your makeup is. Get yourself a Jay Crowder. Get yourself a PJ Tucker. That's what I always tell somebody. Get yourself a Jay Crowder or get yourself a PJ Tucker. But with that being said, I think that this team, one of our biggest issues that we've dealt with over the last 2 or 3 years, really, is that 4 position. We thought we solved it with Jay. We saw a huge upgrade at the position with Jay. However, I think we need size at the 4. Without segueing into Deandre Ayton, We need size at the 4 because Deandre Ayton doesn't play as big as we would like. Deandre Ayton doesn't play as physical as we would like. So I think that 4 spot, although Jay Crowder does bring that physicality, we need that size. Do I want to get rid of Jay Crowder? No. He is a $10 million expiring contract. It's a great trade asset for us. The chances of us trading him are high. I mean, one name that a lot of people might have forgot about over the last year or so is Dario Saric. Dario Saric is a $9.2 million expiring contract this year. You know, that together we got about $19 million to play with there. We might be looking to see what we can do about that. Another expiring contract to throw in this conversation to look at is Aaron Holiday. You know, we got a restricted free agent hold on Aaron Holiday at around $11 million. We can do a sign and trade with Holiday. There's definitely teams out there that need that presence, that point guard, that defensive minded point guard, which I don't know why we didn't use him more in that series in Dallas. Have him chasing around Brunson, have him chasing around Dinwiddie, have, you know, help out on those wings. Because I think that, you know, moving forward a little bit, one of the biggest things that we're going to have to deal with is our point guard position. Not necessarily starting point guard, but off the bench. As great as Campaign was for these last 2 years, I think we've outgrown him. Or he's kind of degressed a little bit from what we've been expecting from him, from what he gave us going into that playoff run last year. One of the biggest things about having Campaign on this team was the fact that he was able to come off the bench. He was able to give, you know, Chris Paul and Devin Booker the opportunity to rest, you know, and do it in a way where we got a ball handler. We got a spark plug. What's up, Westville? We got a spark plug, and we got that ball of energy that we need. You know, a la Landry Shamet signing. That's another guy that we brought in, and we even gave him an extension, a 4-year extension, because when we first brought him in, he was doing what we needed him to do. And I think both Campaign and Landry kind of fizzled out. Campaign, he was dinged up a little bit, but I think a lot of that Campaign issue was, you know, self-confidence. I saw it a lot in the game, you know, game 4 and 3 for, or no, I don't think he even played 4. It was 3. Westville, I can agree with that to an extent. I don't think the league necessarily figured out Cam. There's nothing to figure out about Cam. We know Cam's going to go to the hole. He's going to do something crazy. He's going to push you to your limits. And he's going to take a few shots that most backup point guards won't be allowed to take. The problem with Cam is, with all of that I just said, when he's confident, those shots go in. As ugly as that little left-hand jumper he does, you know, those shots go in. That energy, he pushes it, and he pushes it with a pace and with an urgency to where it's not something that becomes detrimental to us. See, and I think that, you know, in game 3, especially when Cam would push the ball up the court, he would second guess and hesitate as he approached that 3-point line, as he passed that, you know, entered that high box and free throw line area. And in the past, once he gets there, he's running, he's shooting a runner. He already knows he's going to the hole with a little up and under, little clip. And he wasn't getting to the free throw line that much because he was hesitating. And a lot of that, I think, had to do with his confidence. And if you've seen, he didn't even play in game 5. He didn't even play in game 6. I think the game 4, he may have had like a 5-minute stint in the second quarter, in the early part of the second quarter, and he was out of there. So, you know, when I look at Campaign and what he brings, because if you think throughout the year, even last year in the playoffs, how many times did you yell at Campaign to screen? very often. And sometimes we were screaming at him, why are you shooting that? And it would go in. So it was never like Cam was making all the right decisions, but that's Cam's game. And he needs that confidence. And once that starts altering, once he starts losing that, then you start seeing the issues with the style of play that he has. You see, and that's what I picked up mostly. I don't think that people really caught up to Cam. I don't think people really figured Cam out because Cam plays with a lot of speed. He plays with a lot of, uncanny movements. So, there's not really much to figure out there. You just stay in front of the guy, keep your arms up. Hopefully you're longer than him and, that type of thing. So I'm also, looking at this from another standpoint, West, is that Monty, as great of a coach that he is, as great as well as we did this year, I didn't see the coaching in the playoffs. I didn't see Monty taking a young campaign off the floor and pulling him to the side, pulling out that clipboard and saying, look, you're doing this, this, and this. We need you to start doing it like this because they're doing this. Like to your point, Wes, okay, they caught up to him. Well, they're catching you right here. They're waiting for you to do this. We need you to do this instead. And I didn't see that. And I think with a young guy like Cam, with no bad part on Cam at all, I like Cam Payne. But Cam is not the most talented guard in the league. He's not, you put him up with most of the other backup starters in the league, and talent for talent, he's not that guy. But it's his heart that he plays with that makes him that guy and makes him what we need off that bench. So, again, those type of guys, you count on your coach, you count on people like Chris Paul, you count on people like Devin Booker to be in his ear and saying, hey, that turnover, don't worry about it. I know you turned it over 3 times today. It happens. Keep pushing. We need that energy. We need that. We need you being aggressive. Chris is out the game. Devin's taking a rest. He's chasing around Luka. All these guys are switching on and on and off. And, and that was the other thing too, which was, I think, bigger than most was, boy, Cam Payne, he gets switched off on Luka. Good night. There's nothing he can do. So I think that did have something to play in it. But then that takes me again to my other portion of the Monty shenanigans. The Monty shenanigans is if we are not playing Cam, and he's a big portion of what we were doing, and Chris Paul's playing bad, when are we going to make the move to put in Aaron Holiday? When are we going to make the move to put McCall Bridges on Luka and say, follow him? Let me go get another defensive-minded guard and put him on Brunson or put him on Dinwiddie. And, we us as fans, we talk about this a lot. These end-of-the-year rewards. Are they just regular season awards? Should we wait and see some of that playoff stuff? Probably the coach of the year probably ought to go to the finals, so it would have to be a regular season award. But, man, I guess, once you win that a regular season award, you're pretty much done coaching because I didn't see no coaching in that series at all. No adjustments were made. And I tip my hat to Jason Kidd because I've said in the past I don't think Jason Kidd is the greatest coach. But Jason Kidd made the adjustments necessary to win that game. That series. And he did it with the team that was the underdog in the series and quite frankly shouldn't have won the series. So I definitely give some hats off to Jason Kidd, old Phoenix Suns alumni. But moving back to the starting lineup, like we were saying, breaking it down, I would love to keep Jay Crowder. I would love to have Jay Crowder come off the bench. That would just make our team super dynamic. But we need a power forward. We need a power forward. I'm calling Boston. I'm calling Boston right now. And I'm saying, hey, Boston, one of them bigs you have over there, and you need to send them my way. Preferably Grant. I'm calling Atlanta. I'm seeing if they still don't like Hunter. I mean, I'm reaching out because we need a young forward. We need a young, energy bunny with some strength, some size down there. Because we always get into these situations where we're outsized. We went out and got JaVale McGee. We went out and got Biyombo. Why? Because Memphis, they whooped us up. I don't know who that is, but I don't know too many females on our network, and yeah. So, oh, okay, Mike. No, but it really hurts me to see as great of a job as James Jones has done so far. It really hurts me to see that this is one thing he hasn't been able to figure out is our size issue. And again, hats off for going out and getting JaVale McGee and Biyombo. But was that a bridge? Are we going to lose them next year? Or are we going to keep them? So both of them are unrestricted free agents. So again, we need to fix the size issue, which brings me to Deandre Ayton. So I watched Deandre Ayton as the Arizona guy. He went to high school out here, went to U of A, and now he's Suns. And I was rooting for the Suns to draft Deandre Ayton. I think the Suns miss out a lot of times on picking, homebred guys. I was rooting for Aaron Gordon to get drafted by the Suns back in the day. There's a couple other guys that I wished would have came out here. In fact, Remy Martin would be a nice bench player, take a campaign spot. But, with that being said, we have to give Deandre Ayton time. Deandre Ayton right now, Vooch Kobe, the 18th pick sound for Ayton. I like Vucevic, Mike, but no. Right now, Deandre Ayton, top 5, at the worst, top 7 center in the league. In that top 7 group, I think Deandre Ayton is the youngest, if not the second youngest of the group. DeAndre Ayton's game, you guys got to remember, first of all, DeAndre Ayton, when he was in U of A, wasn't used back to the basket. His first year in Phoenix, he wasn't used back to the basket. He was used. We were counting on his athleticism. We were counting on his speed to get up and down the court to keep up with us, and we were counting on his size to go after rebound. I think what we've been is spoiled a little bit in this fact that his progression has happened so quickly that we now expect him to hit that superstardom level right away. And by all means, as fans, we want to push it to the limit. We want you to perform. And you kind of brought it upon yourself by going public and saying, I want a max offer. I want the 5-year max. And if it's not the 5-year max, then you guys are doing me wrong. That's where he fucked up. If he wouldn't have went public with this, we wouldn't be having these conversations. People wouldn't be as close of a mind, looking through a magnifying glass at him at all times. But when you open the door for these type of talks with that amount of money, you're going to start getting these comparisons. Are you a better defender than most of the guys in the top 7 group? I don't think so. I don't think you're a better defender than Bam. I don't think you're a better defender than Joel Embiid. One-on-one, I don't think you're a better defender than Jokic. Help defense-wise, yeah, you got the edge over Jokic. Then we look at Cat. Are you a better defender than Cat? I don't think so. I think you have elements to your game that are better defensive-wise than Cat. I don't think you're better than Cat defensively yet. You break down the rebounding. He's up there with some. But shoot, at this point, you look at Andre Drummond's and, Al Horford showing out. You look at these other guys. Sims out there in New York. So when I break down each element, you're not top 5 in every single element. As a whole package, I believe you're a top 5 center. There are pieces of your game that need to be improved still to put you at max contract status to me. Now, we switch gears and we look at it from the Suns' perspective. You have to give it to them. You have to give it to them. Who can we get rid of Ayton for, replace him on this team, and 2 things. 1, not cut out longevity for the team's success, and 2, not cut out the short-term success, because even with the Vucevic is not running up and down the court like Ayton. He's going to slow us down slightly. Cat, it ain't happening. Cat, to me, probably is the slowest. He's the slowest man in the NBA, top 5. And he might be one of the slowest men in sports. So Cat ain't going to cut it. And that'll change our team up. So there's so many different elements that Ayton calmed down, but you got a point at the same time. And he has us in a chokehold because we can't just move on from DeAndre Ayton. It's not going to work. Everybody out here talking about, trade him for this, trade him for that. Oh, this Kevin Durant bullshit that I've seen. Would it be nice to have Kevin Durant in our team? Yeah. Do I think that Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Kevin Durant would be nasty to fuck with? Yeah. Do I think they'll win a championship? I don't think so. I think we might have a better chance long term with the core we have. So I think as a whole, we have to pay DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton, McCall Bridges, Devin Booker, get used to it. That's our 3 musketeers. And it's going to be like that for quite some time, for the foreseeable future. So that's what I'm seeing there. But again, looking at our team, Elfrid Payton, gone. Wainwright will probably end up keeping maybe 1 or 2 more years. Cam Johnson, he's going to be up for an extension next year. He's going to be a restricted free agent next year. Campaign, I already said, I need to see something. Or you're partially guaranteed next year. So, if you don't do something this upcoming season, I don't know what's going to happen to you. And I don't even know if we end up keeping Cam. There might be some journeyman teams, Sacramento, OKC. I can see him getting moved around and shuffled around in a couple multi-team deals if we get rid of Jay or we do a sign and trade with Ayton. So, but I am kind of looking forward to see what Dario Saric looks like coming back into this squad. I'm not sure if people remember how important Dario Saric was during that stretch before in the playoffs. The end of the regular season leading up to the playoffs. And, when he got hurt, that really put a damper. Because I'll tell you what, having Dario Saric on that squad when we played Milwaukee, I don't know if we win the series, but we definitely don't get whooped the way we did. So, that's definitely something. So I'm definitely looking forward to see what Dario looks like. Having him as a backup power forward, a little bit more size with Jay Crowder, maybe those two can kind of work it out. But I still want to see some more size at that forward position going into next year. But moving on, we're going to talk a little Diamondbacks. It's been surprising as of late. This start, we are 4th in the NL. We're 1 game back from 500, and we started a 4-game series yesterday with the Dodgers. We lost 14-1. Outside of that 14-1 loss with the Dodgers, though, we haven't been too shabby as of late. We won 5 of our last 6, with losing 1 of the 4-game series to the Cubs. So we haven't been too bad. Caught up Jordan from AAA. He's actually came on really good as well. But looking at it, we got Varsho at 268, leading our team in batting average. Walker has 12 home runs already in the season with 21 RBIs. He's really crushing it. Varsho's on-base percentage at 335, and he has already 42 hits in the season. And, Ketel Marte is right there. He's knocked in 14. Peralta just had the 3 home run game the other day. And he's sitting at 8 home runs with 20 RBIs. Our bats are coming alive, and our pitching as well. I didn't expect our pitching to be the way it is, but our starting pitchers have kind of held their own. Humberto Castellanos, he's been doing his thing. What is his ERA sitting at right now? He has a 5.2 ERA. Over 19 innings, over 39 innings. I apologize, but he's 3-2. He's won a couple of good games. He's had 8 starts, 10 appearances. Bumgarner as well. He's been doing his thing. He has a 276 over 42 innings. He's 2 for 2 with over 9 starts. And again, if we can. The thing about the Diamondbacks is we always start off slow. And I'm looking at this start, and I see some promise because we finish strong. The heart of our season is the best time of our season every year. We have a horrible start. We have a great middle, and we have a decent end. So with this, starting out, we're sitting at, like I said, 1 game out of 500. After 45 games, that gives me some hope. That gives me some hope that, we can turn things around. Now, unfortunately, we're in the NL West. If you are from the West, you know that the Wild Wild West don't play. And guns are a-blazing in the NL West. We're 8 games back from the Dodgers. We're 6 games back from second place San Diego. And we're 2.5 games back from third place San Francisco. So again, we close out July, going through July. So we got starting for the end of the season. This is how we wrap up. So as long as we can stay within reach, we can touch our division. We got a 2-game series in June, at the end of June, with San Diego. We got a 3-game series the beginning of July with Colorado. Then we travel to San Francisco for a 3-game series. Then we travel to Colorado for a 4-game series. Go home. We finish 6 games straight at home with 3 in versus San Francisco, 3 versus San Diego. So if we can ride this storm out in the early part, we've kind of had a little treacherous run so far. But if we can ride this storm out in the early part, we might be able to squeeze our way into the second and get a wild card later in the season. I mean, barring injuries, things like that, but as long as these bats stay up, I like the way it looks. So we got Bumgarner on the mound tonight versus the Dodgers. Game starts at 6:40. Actually, probably just started here a moment ago. So I'm hoping tonight, Bumgarner can come out and do something, do a little bit more, because that 14-1 outing, guys, we don't like that. That's 2 years ago, Diamondbacks, or last year, end of the season, Diamondbacks was bad. So, but moving on, let's go to Arizona, to my good old Cardinals. There's been a lot of talk. We got the Kyler Murray talk. And, it's 50-50. I got half of them saying that Kyler should shut his mouth. This is not a team player. What has he done? Deserve it? Da-da-da-da-da. But in reality, Kyler Murray definitely deserves his bag. And if you're a Cardinals fan, you should be rooting for us to pay this man. You should be rooting for us to lock up a franchise quarterback, guys. Outside of Carson Palmer, outside of Kurt Warner, who were they? Who were they? Because I mean, what are we going to go back to Jake Plummer? What are we going to go look at Boomer Esiason? We have not had a franchise quarterback that came in being drafted by our team, was able to start right away and take off and be successful and command the team. And, outside of this little ruckus about the contract, have you guys heard any bickering prior to this from players? And, so you heard the Chase Edmonds, well, we didn't see a lot from him, and he wasn't very talkative. And, not every leader leads the same way. Not every leader is a great communicator, which I think to be an excellent leader, you do need to be some sort of a good communicator. But if Tom Brady didn't talk to no one at all, and he still did what he did, well, what he has done, he would still be considered the greatest. And I think that talking and, making people like you on your squad is definitely something that we should focus on. What's up, Mickey? But all in all, at the end of the day, winning is what we want. So if you can go out there and make us win, I don't give a damn if you friends with any of us. Because at the end of the day, this is work. You show up to work. Your job is to go out there, play 4 quarters of football, and get a W. So if you ain't making friends, that's fine, as long as you're doing your job. And I think Kyler has shown us that he does what we expect of him. I think Kyler has shown us that he's focused on winning ball games. And if he's not winning ball games, he ain't happy. And if there's if the guy controlling the ball, if the guy that has the fate of our team in his hands has that type of attitude, I'm okay with that. That's what I want. He's the leader. He's the one that's has the ball in his hands that's going after the win. He's the one that down 14 in the third quarter, he's the one getting the ball. He's the one applying the pressure and saying, look, we need to go get this. He's the one that made that pass in Buffalo to DeAndre Hopkins. So Kyler needs the bag. I wish Kyler would have went about requesting it a little bit different. It's out there now. It's already done. I think a lot of this has to do with Kyler being young and his agent wanting some bread. I think it has more to do with Kyler being young and his agent wanting that wallet to be fat. I think a lot of the tactics, a lot of the little stunts and things we've seen haven't been Kyler. I think that's been his agents. Now, I will say that I think that the, Hollywood Brown move was a Kyler pleaser. We appreciate that, Mickey. We appreciate that. Thank you, sir. I think the Hollywood Brown move was a Kyler pleaser, but it actually worked out. I think they knew ahead of time that DeAndre Hopkins was going to be suspended for 6 games. We all seen what our offense looked like with DeAndre Hopkins out. But with that being said, Ronald Moore, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre, then we get both of our tight ends back. And the guy we just drafted, I forget his name right now. But what's his name? Oh, we just signed Steven Anderson from San Diego. He'll probably make the team as like a special teams player, or primarily a blocker. But yeah, Trey McBride. We just got done drafting him, and he looks promising. He looks offensively, he looks like he's going to be a freaking weapon. But even Max Williams, he stepped up late in the year last year. Primarily seasons before, we've always known him as a blocker. Not much given to you in the passing game, not much given to you on the offensive side of the ball in that aspect, but mostly, help that line, secure that edge. But last year, we needed some help in that field, that area, and he stood up and he really had a leap offensively as far as his production and what he was capable of doing. Some of the catches that he made, I didn't even know he was capable of making those catches. But I've always liked Max Williams. He's always been a hard worker. He's always, as far as the X's and O's, he's never out of place. It looks like on plays, and always knows where he's supposed to be. And you need guys like that on your team. So I think this tight end core that we have is probably is for sure the deepest tight end core that we've seen in quite some time. I can think through all of our seasons, and I can't think of one even close to this, honestly. But our tight end core right now is going to be ridiculous. I see a lot of 2 tight end sets, wide receiver spread, no running back in the backfield. I think we're going to see a lot of that as well. No, Trey don't look like a rookie, man. He looks seasoned in this West. That's what even makes it more scarier, because I'll be real with you. And if you guys haven't used this or seen this yet, Glaze. It's an Arizona company. You guys got these are made for the fighters. Got some sore muscles, things like that. It's roll on, relieve that pain on you. And for the fighters out there that test, make sure that you can still pass your drug test, and you can still fight. So if you don't know, Glaze, Arizona brand, to put it out there. Yes, Wes, back to that. No, Trey he impressed me. because I seen him a little bit, obviously, from what college he goes to, but I had to go back and watch some film on him and really kind of key in on what he does good. And the things that he does good is what we were missing last year. Because Zach is great. Zach has 0 speed. That attribute's gone. Zach is going to get you, if you need to do a 5-yard out, he got you. You need Zach to do a 7-yard post, and you got time to sit back there and let Zach run 7 yards and hit that post, he got you. But there was plays that I did see Zach struggle on, and that was quick routes, and just having to beat a defender to a spot. And I think a lot of our offense and a lot of the plays that we run with our receivers and routes they run and tight ends as well, even the running backs coming out the backfield, a lot of it is beating them to spots. A lot of it is beating the defenders to spots, because if you beat them to that spot, you're going to catch the hole. And the way that he runs his offense, you got blockers around you, you got space to maneuver in. So as long as you're able to beat them to that spot, their offensive playbook works well. And I think that Zach struggled a lot in a few of the sets because he didn't have the speed necessary that was needed for him to run that route at that time. And, plugging McBride in here, I think that will open up our playbook, because now he's almost like, I said last year, everybody said last year, okay, Zach Ertz, getting Zach Ertz is like adding an extra receiver to your team. But I think that we felt that way so much because we ain't had no tight ends. So it was like, oh my God, we got a tight end and he can catch football. He's not like a bona fide left tackle. So, we actually had a tight end on the field last year with Max Williams catching the ball a little bit, and then Zach coming in, and the way he did it, it was like, boom, that just, it brightened that spot on our offense that had been missing for such a long time. So I think this year, what we're going to see is we saw Zach take over that spot that we were lacking, and him not have the real true attributes that Cliff would have wanted from his tight end. Because remember, I think this year we're actually going to finally be Cliff's squad. Like, we've done a lot of changing. We've done a lot of drafting now. Last year we were right there. But I think this is Cliff's squad. And you're going to see a lot of his playbook that we haven't seen now, because he's actually gone out and got the players that he wants to run these specific routes. The Hollywood Browns, the Ronald Moores, Andy Isabella. I don't know why he's on a roster still, but if that dude could freaking get his feet underneath him and catch the damn football, that would have been a dangerous weapon to have as well, to be able to stretch the field. But he needs to be off our squad. But anyways, Ronald Moore, having a Hollywood Brown, having another guy that kind of, actually 2 guys, Dortch and Wesley, both surprised the hell out of me. When they had their flashes, because I really like Wesley, his size, speed, and all that. Wes, you make a great point, because I feel like Andy's first year, he wasn't making plays, but he looked like Andy Isabella from college. I think after that first year, he wasn't making plays. He didn't look like Andy Isabella. He wasn't. What happened to that speed? What happened to what are they saying? He was running like 4.3. What happened to that speed? Because I swear, after year one, first of all, I never seen a 4.3 on him. Kyler Murray smoked him in practice that first year, and I haven't seen him even get next to anybody fast in practice after that. He don't even run with the fast receivers. I would love to see him next to Hollywood Brown this year. I want to see that. But no, you're right. I think it is mental, man. I think he folded. I don't know, man. He just folded mentally or something. But Adding in, you got DJ coming back, Kelvin Beachum. He showed me some stuff last year. I kind of like him being on the right tackle side. And then you got Rodney, man, and bringing Will over here to put him at the other side of the guard position. I think that, with our two tight ends, we got two solid blocking tight ends that can be dangerous out for that position after chipping on someone. I think we really have the offense that Cliff imagined having. Another surprising signing to me was Daryl Williams, the former Kansas City Chiefs running back. I think bringing him in was kind of surprising too, but that's just another guy that, again, is speedy, got a little bit of size and strength on him, to replace Chase Edmonds. But I'm going to go on record right now and say to the Arizona Cardinals, like we were talking about in Phoenix, about the Suns, you got a guy that's an Arizona guy that was from ASU in Eno Benjamin on your roster. If that man does not get touches this year, there is a problem. Jonathan Ward, you cool. I don't want to see you getting the ball no more before Eno Benjamin, bro. I appreciate everything you've done for this team. You stuck around, even though we ain't playing you. But Eno Benjamin, this is his breakout season. Something's going to happen. He's going to get some touches, and he is going to come in with a bang. Because I like Eno. He combos size and speed perfectly. Not necessarily, he's not a big dude, but he runs hard, and he runs bigger than he is. So I'm hoping that we can squeeze Eno in as a third back. I think Daryl Williams coming in here kind of squeezed him out because Eno really would have really fit into what Daryl's going to do for our team. But this offense, man, liking the way we're going. We're going to come back and do another fresh takes, and we're going to break down the defensive side of the ball next week. But as far as the offensive side of the ball is concerned, we're moving in the right direction. I was pissed off. I will say I was pissed off about the tight end being drafted so early, especially giving up our first rounder in order to get Hollywood. But actually seeing him on the field and seeing him kind of work with this squad a little bit, he was a nice pick. But with that being said, Steve Keim and Isabella look nice in training camp, OTAs. Hassan Reddick looked decent in training camp and OTAs. I think Jonathan Cooper looked decent in OTAs. So what I'm getting at is, Steve, if this guy don't pan out, this is it. I hope you don't draft another 1 through 3. I'll save Steve Keim for 4 through 7. He does great drafting rounds 4 through 7. 4 through 7, I don't know, he got like a gold sifter or something, and he just be out there like sifting through all the players and finding out them gold nuggets in rounds 4 through 7. But bro, 1 through 3, horrible. Yeah, nah. Keim and his linebackers, Keim and his receivers, Keim and his corners, Keim and Keim and Keim again. Keim and Keim. Oh, and freaking David Johnson. I mean, David Johnson did his justice, but still, I'm pissed off about David Johnson's ass too. I don't know, bro. He's always making some freaking leap, and I like the fact that he thinks outside the box. But if you're going to think outside the box and you know that no one else is thinking about doing this, wait. Don't do it with a first-round pick, bro. Don't do it with a second-round pick, and don't do it with a freaking third-round pick. Get them in the 4th and the 5th, like you usually do when you get guys that outperform their draft picks, because you have yet to have a first-rounder that perform well outside of Kyler, but perform like a first-rounder. So, yeah. That is how I feel about that. But no, guys, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, West. I appreciate you kicking it, listening to me spew my Arizona sports spew all over this place, and I'm definitely gonna, do this more often. Whoo! Now, before I go, I'm gonna address that. What if they crumble in the latter part of the season again? Is Cliff to blame? That's a rough one, West, because there was so much shit that happened last year. So much shit happened. We had Deandre injury. We had the Max injury. Our offensive line was depleted. Rodney Hudson was injured. Pugh was injured at one point. I think Beecham got injured. Josh Jones was starting at some point. For a minute there, before we got Zach Ertz, we had no tight end. We had Daryl Daniels and we had Double D, and I don't even know who else right now off the top of my head. Chase Edmonds was injured. Christian Kirk played like Christian Kirk. And AJ Green, I don't think, knew the offense. So with all that being said, we were still in the upper half of the echelon as far as teams were concerned. I don't blame that on Cliff. I honestly call this, say I'm zoning in on him, but I honestly still put it on Keim, because if Keim would have drafted right, let's say he had a guy that was even decent. If we would have got like a John Brown out the deal, instead of Andy Isabella. Frankie, I'm just gonna let that sit there, man. You need to change that jersey. You change your profile pic. I'm tired of seeing the damn Patriots, man. Change the damn profile pic. Go to Boston or something. Give us something fresh. You know what I'm saying? The old faithful on and shit. But if Keim's drafting was a little better, West, then the Andy Isabella guy would have been able to come in and help a little bit. The other thing is, I don't understand what. There's a few things, man, and I don't blame it on Keim. I actually blame that on both. On Cliff. I don't blame that on Cliff. I blame that on both of them as a whole together, because Cliff should be fucking running his freaking fist down Keim's throat for some of these draft picks. For real, Frankie. But you know what I'm saying? Like, some of these decisions that he made, Keim should have been running at him for. And I think they're a package deal, Wes, to kind of answer your question on that. I think when Keim goes, Cliff goes. Unless we still have some bad draft picks here. If these draft picks don't pan out this year, but we still kind of make a run and hit the playoffs, I could see us getting rid of Cliff. But if we shit the bed like we did last year, I think they're gone together. Because let's be honest. Cliff didn't really have a resume before this to me to be deserving of the spot. I do think that he's showed he can be a general manager in this league, definitely. I think he needs help with the drafting side of the equation. But Frankie. But, you know, at the end of the day, Keim wasn't the best choice for the GM at the time. We just went with it. And he's done his thing. And Cliff too. He wasn't the best choice for coach at the time. We went with it, and he's done his thing. And I think that because they weren't the best choices when we made them, I honestly believe that, you know, we'll move away from them together if it doesn't work, rather than one or the other. It's a kind of like a scapegoat type deal. You know, get rid of both of them at the same time so they can go out and get a new regime. Because I don't think a general manager is just want to kind of come in and kind of play with Keim's type of style. Because, you know, as they say, he's not a NFL playbook carrying coach. So, which I beg to differ as a Cardinal fan. I beg to differ. Sitting here watching, you know, magic happen on that field on a weekly basis, our offense anyways, man. And, you know, we definitely moved away from the run option. We definitely moved away from that first year, 4 plays and 3 formations run option. So we're moving in the right direction. You know what I mean? So again, before I do get out of here, if you are barely for the first time ever catching this, please like us, subscribe, share us out to all your friends, your family. We want them all. We have a lot of talented analysts on ASAP, you know, from my guy Frankie here. You can catch him on the morning shows. You know, we got you catch him on Unscripted. Robert Duran Jr. will be on here tomorrow right here on ASAP Network on the Unscripted show. And, you know, stay tuned to Unscripted. The month of June for Unscripted is going to be jam-packed, starting off with May 28th. We're going to just slide that into June. But you got Robert Duran Jr. And quite a few other guests coming. And, you know, Scripted's keeping it stacked. If you haven't caught Mike on the mic, especially if you're in the Midwest, especially if you like Chicago sports, you know, Mike's been killing it lately, covering the Chicago Sky, other things out there. You know, ASAP Chicago's growing, ASAP Texas growing. You know, we're doing our thing. And if you're out here in Arizona and you want to take a stab at it, you want to write, cover a team, get involved, reach out to me. We'll find a spot for you. But again, guys, until next time, I appreciate you hanging out, chilling with me. But we'll get together again. I'll at you.
Whole sports, all plays. Yeah. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.